guys, so welcome back to our channel. So today I'm going to be doing a video that I asked you guys in my last video you guys wanted me to do, and I'm going to be sharing with you guys my top favorite hair mask to combat heat damage. Kendra and I have done tons of videos on hair masks. You guys know that it's like our favorite and to us the most important step in your hair routine, whether you're going curly or straightening your hair. So for us, hair masks are the foundation for healthy hair and how to retain length. Now, I purposely did not call this video my top favorite hair mask to get rid of heat damage, because I feel like with anything that you try, you just have to be consistent with it, and I don't want to give anybody false hope with these masks. But all these masks have worked for me, and I have used these masks over the past few years, some of them very old and some of them a little bit newer. But before we get into the mask, I did want to do a little story time really quickly before we get into the mask. If you guys have been following our channel for a while, and if you found me and Kendra through our hair videos, then you will already know that Kendra and I have been going back and forth between straight and curly hair for years now. I think almost 14 years. So we started wearing our hair curly the summer before our senior year in high school. So roughly around 14 years. I've I wouldn't say mastered going back and forth between straight and curly, because some people never understood how my curls would bounce back. And to be plain with y'all, it was not always like that. Like in the beginning, like it was so hard to get my curls back every time I would come back from being straight. And I started to figure out my own hair. So a big part of this is getting to know your own hair. And that's gonna take time. But a big part of it was getting used to wearing my hair curly. So the number one thing I would say how to avoid heat damage is avoiding heat. You just have to completely avoid it altogether. So I noticed that when I first started straightening my hair and going curly, I realized that I could straighten my hair. I just couldn't straighten it consistently. So granted, that first summer, me and Kendra started wearing our hair curly the summer before senior year. We used that time to basically get comfortable with our curls. We wanted to see if our hair would grow faster and retain length more if we would not use heat for like an entire summer. So that was a nice little trial run for the next few years to come when we started wearing our curls a whole lot more. So I would just say start to get comfortable wearing your hair natural first, because the only way you're going to combat heat damage is if you avoid heat. And granted, the first time, like the first summer we started wearing our curls, they didn't look the best because we were transitioning from relaxed to natural hair at the time. So I would do a lot of twist outs, a lot of braid outs. So yeah, you're just gonna have to avoid heat. So that's the number one thing I would say. So none of these masks are going to help you get your curls back if you're still using heat consistently on your hair. Something else I found that really helped me get my curls back is doing a couple of years not using heat. So sporadically over the past few years, Kendra and I have done at least like 2 years. Not like 2 years in a row, but we've done 2 years with no heat. We just wore our hair curly for a whole year. And I highly recommend or challenge you guys to try to wear your curls for a whole year and see how your curls start to flourish. Yeah, it's pretty amazing to see, I'm not gonna lie. You're gonna be pretty shocked at how fast your curls start to flourish. So try the 1 year no heat. I'm telling you, it's transformative. So I will say you can use heat on your hair. Like after you get comfortable wearing your curls and you want to go back to start to straighten your hair. But I would just say don't use heat consistently. So I found that I couldn't straighten my hair like I used to in high school, because in high school Kendra and I would wash our hair once a week and we would blow dry and flat iron once a week. Do not recommend. So I realized that I could straighten my hair, I just shouldn't do it so consistently. So nowadays Kendra and I, when we do straighten our hair, we only straighten it once a month, and we'll try to stretch out that blowout. And if I do want to put heat in my hair like one more time within that blowout window, I'll just curl it or I'll wand it, but I'll wait at least 2 weeks after I've blow dried and flat ironed my hair. And of course, when you do choose to straighten your hair, always use products that protect your hair against heat. So we've always had a routine that included a heat protectant. So that is definitely key as well. All right guys, so let's go ahead and get into these masks. Okay, so the first one that I have here is an OG mask. I think this is probably the first mask that I started using to try to get my curls to pop a lot more, because I'm not gonna lie, even after I was done transitioning and the relaxer was completely grown out, I noticed that my curls still weren't as bouncy and as full as I would have liked them. It was still a lot of wavy pieces, and I think that's also because I was still consistently straightening my hair way too often. But this is the first mask that made me fall in love with deep conditioning my hair. So this is from Aquage. I'm not sure if any of you guys have heard of this brand. This is definitely a brand that you used to only be able to find at Cosmoprof, like anywhere they sold like salon brands. So at one point I used to only be able to get this at Cosmoprof. And of course with Cosmoprof, you can't go in there unless you have a cosmetology license, but now you can get this on Amazon, which I think is insane. But also very helpful to people who do not have a cosmetology license. But this is Aquage's Strengthening Conditioner Mask. So they have a ton of masks, but this is the only one that I've tried. I haven't tried any of their other masks, but I had heard so many great things about this mask when I was doing a ton of research on how to get my curls to pop back faster. I'm not gonna lie, this mask is not cheap. It's pretty expensive, but it's worth the price. Now, when I first started using this mask a few years ago, I think the first time I tried this, I think was like 7 years ago, maybe 8. I would overdo it with this mask. So I would use this mask like 2 times a week, and I noticed that my hair started to get very dry. So that's one thing you're going to not want to do when you're using strengthening / protein mask. You don't want to overdo it with protein. So I would highly recommend using it at least once a week, and then you can put like a moisturizing mask in between and then go back to the protein mask. So rotating your mask is highly recommended because it's going to give your hair the perfect balance of both of the things that your hair needs, which is protein as well as moisture. So you don't want to overdo it on either mask, because when you use too many moisturizing masks, it can weaken the hair shaft, and if you use too much protein, it can make the hair very dry and brittle and break off. So balance is key when you're doing deep conditioners, especially with protein, because that's what we're focusing on today, strengthening masks. So don't be doing it 2 times a week like I was just overdoing it, because I thought like, oh, if I do it 2 times a week, like my curls will come back faster. No, don't do that. I actually hate the smell of this. It smells like, I don't know, like Suave lotion or something. I'm just not into the smell, but what really matters is the efficacy of this product, and it's amazing. So after a month of using this, I noticed a huge difference in my curls. And I must tell you, this lasts me a good little while, because a little bit does go a long way, because it's thick, but it's not thick to the point where it doesn't like glide through the hair well. So this has amazing slip, like if you're putting it on in the shower. Y'all, this glides through the hair beautifully. It's amazing. So I guess I'll just read a little bit of the back to you guys. I haven't read this product in so long. It just says, to help repair damaged and fragile hair and prepare hair for styling. So yeah, this was my go-to back in the day, and it's still one of my go-tos whenever I want to give my curls a nice little pick-me-up. But this is not a hybrid for strengthening and moisture. This is strictly a strengthening mask. So if you are in dire need of trying to get your curls back, I highly recommend letting this be one of the first masks that you give a try for a month and see how your hair likes it. The Aquage Strengthening Mask, one of my all-time faves, highly recommend. Okay, so next we have another OG product. It actually matches what I'm wearing, kind of. If you guys have been following us for a long time, or even if you've been watching beauty videos for years, then you know what this is. You've seen this so many times. This is the Macadamia Natural Oil Deep Repair Mask, Revitalizing Hair Reconstructor for dry, damaged hair. So this is actually a good hybrid mask. This is a nice mask to give you a nice balance of strengthening and moisture, but I noticed that this works a little bit better for the strengthening side of things, because I found that even when I use this, I still don't think it's as moisturizing as it claims to be, but it does an amazing job at strengthening the hair. So when I first started using this, I would only use this when I straighten my hair. So I never used this to get my curls back. But then one summer I was just like, let me try this on my curls. Let me see how this works to get my curls like nice and juicy and bouncy. So I noticed that this was also a really good mask to incorporate into my natural hair routine, like my actually curly weekly wash and go routine. So this is also an excellent mask to get your curls back. Granted, this is not as intense as the Aquage one. This is really great to go ahead and try if you're a little nervous of protein to start out with. So this would be a nice buffer mask to go ahead and try like the first month of you getting your curls back, and then you can go into the Aquage mask, you know? This is actually old packaging. I feel like every time I go in anywhere that this is, they either have the new packaging or this one. Now this is a thick mask. This is probably one of the most thick masks I've ever tried, and I have tried a lot of hair masks. So as you can see, nothing's coming out. So if I would have done that with the Aquage mask, it would have started to slide a little bit. But this one is super thick. It doesn't glide through the hair as easy as the Aquage one, but it's still a beautiful texture. And I feel like your hair is gonna drink this up. It's gonna love it. I feel like it's really good for all textures. And I love how big this jar is, as well as the Aquage one. I cannot stand spending my money on a hair mask that's like this thin and there's no product in it. That's not enough product for me to see if the mask is actually working. Because I like to use a mask for at least a month to see if it actually is having an effect on my hair. So that's a nice window of time to see if your mask is actually working. So the next mask, you guys saw me use this in the last video, which was my 2023 straight to curly video, and I used the Shea Moisture mask. This is probably my most used mask of all time, I would say. This is the Shea Moisture Manuka Honey and Mafura Oil Intensive Hydration Hair Mask. Now this says intensive hydration, but I wanted to include this in this video specifically because I noticed that with this mask, although it is nice and hydrating, it's also nice and strengthening. I noticed that my curls always come back nice and juicy every time I use this. And this is also a good mask to use like when you don't know what your hair needs. Like if it's like a wash and go day and you're like, I need to do a hair mask, but I can't really tell if my hair needs moisture or if it needs protein or if it needs a little bit of both. So this is a mask that I like to reach for if my hair is just doing good. So this is a really good mask to try to get your curls nice and juicy and to keep them nice and balanced and just, you know, at a good state. I just like that this has Manuka honey in it, and I noticed that honey is a really good sealant in protecting the hair shaft and the hair follicle, so I love that this has honey in it. This also has Mafura oil. I haven't really used Mafura oil at all other than this product, so I don't know that much about it, but I do know that my hair loves it. This is probably the only mask in this video that's not a protein mask, I would say, but I put it in here, like I said, because it's gonna make your curls nice and juicy and bouncy. And by the way, this is the exact same wash and go from the video you guys saw last week. So this is maybe 5-day wash and go, and my curls, they still look pretty good, I would say. But I'm probably gonna co-wash it in like 2 days since I just shampooed, because I like to shampoo my hair when it's curly. I like to shampoo once or twice a month, and then every single week I like to co-wash. So the next mask is a newer mask in my curl revitalization routine. Revitalization is not a word. Revitalizing routine. Yes, this is an Aveda product, and every time I see Aveda, I just get so much nostalgia because that's the school I graduated from. So this is an amazing product. This is one of their newer products. I think this has been out maybe like 2 years or 3 maybe. This is the Botanical Repair Intensive Strengthening Mask. This is their rich formula. They also have a formula that's like for finer hair, but when it comes to curls, I say the richer the better. And I like the big jar of this. This also comes in like a thin jar that I cannot stand. I think it's not enough product, again, like I said, to see if the mask is gonna work. So I like to go for the big jar. But the big jar you'll probably have to order online because I don't really see it in store, because I actually bought this in a salon. I bought it from a salon. Now this mask, to me, probably out of all the masks that I'm mentioning in this video, has the most amazing slip I've ever felt in my life in a hair mask. Like, it low-key feels like a styling product while you're putting it in your hair, but it's not a styling product, but it glides through so beautiful. It's so silky. It's a very silky mask. Like, it's thick, but when you put it on your hair, it's very silky and it glides through beautifully. And with this, I can automatically notice a difference like right after I rinse it out. It's very few products where you get like instant gratification when it comes to a product, but with this, I automatically notice a difference. I don't know if it's silk neem protein in this, because I feel like it is, you know, the same ingredient that is in the Shea Moisture curl enhancing smoothie. I feel like that ingredient might be in this because it's very silky. Like, you won't understand what I'm talking about unless you buy it and try it out for yourself, but like as it's going in your hair, it's just so smooth and buttery. Gorgeous texture. So this is also a really good product to maintain your curls and to have in your bi-weekly routine as your like go-to protein mask. to make sure your curls are nice and juicy. Highly recommend giving this a try. It's one of my favorite masks to use because the experience is just very luxurious. So yeah. And then the last mask, that's really hard to say. The last mask that I have to talk about is the Adwoa Beauty Blue Tansy Treatment Mask. I don't have any more here with me because I was using that a lot last year when I was straightening my hair. And I feel like that also helped me not have a lot of heat damage. So that's also a really good mask to use while you're straightening your hair. So also be mindful of the mask that you're using when you're washing and conditioning your hair before you do your blowout. Be mindful of those masks as well. And that is one of my favorite masks to use, like I said, when I'm straightening my hair, because it's a really good mask to use to help combat that heat damage before you straighten. So be mindful also of what mask you're using before you go in and straighten your hair, because they're going to directly affect how your hair turns out when you try to go back curly as well. So you also want to maintain that same moisture protein balance when you're straightening your hair as well, not just when you're doing wash and goes. So I love the Adwoa Beauty Blue Tansy Treatment Mask. It's also another thick mask. It's extremely thick and I love it. It's amazing. It rinses out beautifully. Your hair is going to be so freaking soft, so silky, and it doesn't weigh my hair down either. So if you have a problem with like hair mask weighing your hair down, the Adwoa Beauty Blue Tansy one is a really good go-to for me, which is why I don't have any more. I'm just waiting for the Sephora sale. I have so much stuff in my cart. Also, with all of these masks, if you don't have enough time to give yourself a night to sleep with them overnight, I highly recommend trying a heated cap. So I know that might sound like an oxymoron. Okay, I'm trying to combat heat damage, so why would I use heat? But as far as like using a hair mask, using like at least 2 shower caps and then a nice like beanie over top, and then using like a heat cap like the one I used in my straight to curly video. I've had that one for years. You can find them at Sally's or on Amazon. I highly recommend using those because it's going to intensify the efficacy of your hair mask. So if you read the back of the mask and it says what it could do, I feel like you're not going to see its full potential if you don't use it overnight, one, or if you don't use a heated cap. I don't believe in no 5-minute rinse out or no 10-minute rinse out. That's not enough time for me to see if a mask is truly gonna work for me. I'm not the, leave it on while I'm shaving girl. That ain't doing nothing. In my opinion, it's not enough time. So I highly recommend trying the heated cap, because if you don't have enough time to do, like I said, an overnight treatment, that is excellent to get your curls nice and juicy before you rinse your hair mask out, and to actually see if your mask is working, because that steam is going to open up the hair follicle and allow the mask to work more intensely. I highly recommend getting a heated cap to do your deep conditioning treatment. So I will have the one that I use linked down below if I can find it, because it's really old, but I'm like sure I can find something similar to link for you guys in the description box that I think will work the exact same way. And of course I will have all of these masks that I mentioned in today's video in the description box. All of these masks have worked amazing for me. And I like that I took you on a journey of the order in which I discovered each mask, because I feel like it is quite a journey trying to get your curls back. And if you were in the middle of that, I know how much of a headache it can be, almost like a little science experiment. So that's why I just think having curly hair is so special, but it is a job in itself that requires a lot of trial and error and patience. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope it was helpful to you guys. I'll see you guys in the next one.